Hello and welcome again to one of my Facebook Lives. I'm going to make something today that is one of my favourite things to eat, and if any of you know me very well, you all know that thing is cake. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to use one simple recipe, and the basic recipe I'm using is one that I learnt when I was very young by Delia Smith, and I've got it in ounces, so you have to, hello Russell, you have to convert it, and look what I've got, this whole thing. So I have been using this, but having baked 3 cakes, I've realised that it doesn't work very well and it's not quite as it should be. So my cakes haven't come out perfectly, but it doesn't matter. So the recipe is 4, 4, 4 and 2. So 4 ounces of butter, 4 ounces of sugar. Hello Mum! 4 ounces of self-raising flour and 2 eggs. Or you go bigger and you go, hello Daddy! Oh my God, you're both watching! Amazing! Or you go 8, 8, 8 and 4. So 8 butter, 8 sugar, 8 self-raising flour and 4 eggs. So if that makes sense, hello Maddie, good morning. Good morning everyone in England. What time is it there? What time is it there? I can't see my clock. Anyway, so the tips to make the cake. First of all, I use a mixer. You can do it by hand. I've got my lovely KitchenAid mixer. I'll just take you over here. And the attachment that I use is the paddle attachment. So I'll show you that to you in a second, but it's the little paddle shaped thing. Get your butter in there, make sure your butter's a little bit soft, and your sugar. Caster sugar is probably best because it's nice and fine, and you just beat it until it's really creamy and smooth and it lightens in colour. So that depending on how much you've got and how fast you put the beater, depends on 8:40 in the morning. Thank you, Maddie. Good morning. So you can make cake for morning tea or crib or whatever we call it in England. Hello, David. 9:40 in Switzerland. So beat the butter and sugar until it's nice and light, and then that's when I put the eggs in. Crack the eggs into the bowl, beat it again, and then I beat it until it's almost like all the butter and the sugar and the eggs are blitzed up and really nice and light in colour. That's when you get your weighed out self-raising flour, and I sieve it in, making sure you're sieving it, getting lots of air into there, and mix it through. But you don't want to mix it too much because we've got gluten in the flour, and if you mix flour too much, or the gluten, it gets really sticky. So I just mix it through. Sometimes I have a bit of milk just on the side, just in case, to make it a bit smoother, but that always depends. That always depends on the mix. Anyway, so I've done that 3 times, and I've made 3 cakes, and I'm going to talk to you about the first one. Here is one I made earlier. So, can you see? That has got apples that I've cooked in butter, sugar, cinnamon, and a little bit of salt. I got 3 apples, and they're a little bit manky and old, so I peeled them and sliced them in little semicircles. A little bit of butter, white sugar, I love cinnamon, so tons of cinnamon, and cooked it really slowly until all of the apples were nice and soft. I then put the apples on the bottom of the cake tin, put the cake mix on top, put the cake in the oven. 180 degrees basically for cake is a good temperature. And so I've pulled it out, I've tipped it out the tin, and I got the rest of the apples. So I used probably about 2/3 of the apples on the cake, and then the rest I've got in here. I am going to get a proper camera set up soon, so sorry this is a bit amateur. So in here is the rest of the apple and the cinnamon and the butter, and then I added a little bit of water and some icing sugar, and I'm going to pour that on to the cake. So we've already got apple and cinnamon in the cake, and then that lovely icing, it's kind of a chunky icing, is going to go over the top And because there's butter in there, if I pop that in the fridge for 10 minutes, it's going to set nicely. Oh my God, that looks good. It's kind of like apple crumble on a cake. I got a little cinnamon stick. I put that on top. And I'll show you that one. Yum. So that's cake number 1 with the basic cake mix. I'll go through that again in a minute. Second of all is the chocolate cake. So this one is an 8, 8, 8 and 4 mix. So 8 ounces of butter, 8 ounces of sugar, 8 ounces of self-raising flour and 4 eggs. But I also put about 3 or 4 tablespoons of pure cocoa powder in there. Hello Toby, Patrick, Shane, Jenny. Thank you for watching. And I did the milk thing with this. So I mixed it up, and because there's extra powder in the cocoa, I added a little bit of milk to loosen the mix. And I've baked it in a slab like that. Now I love chocolate and orange. And in my mixer at the back there, I've got, oh my God, what did I put in there? I think I have to put it at the bottom. It's basically icing, sugar, cocoa, can't remember how much of each, butter, orange juice, and orange zest using one of these. And I've also used a lovely essential oil. So these are edible essential oils for heaps and heaps of flavor. And it's called wild orange. Oh my God, it's happiness in a bottle. And I've put tons of that, like 8 drops. And for those of you that don't really know what the paddle attachment is, that's the one that's best used for cakes. Oh my God, that looks amazing. And all I'm gonna do is get that chocolate icing mix, you see, and plonk it on the top and spread it over. And then you can just sit that back in the fridge. I'll make it pretty later, but you get the idea. Then probably my favorite is the next one, because I am English. It's the Victoria sponge with jam and cream. So I've got this gorgeous little stand, and I got the cake mix, so I did 8, 8, 8 and 4. Wild orange is addictive, that is very true. Hello Harriet, hello Julie, hello Stefan. Thank you for watching. I'm making cake, my favorite thing. So this one, I made the mix, and then I divided it into 2 tins. And the tins are just this sort of shallow. Use the old-fashioned way, use the buttery bit of the butter wrapper to wipe around the outside. And now I'm just going to explain to you a little trick to put the baking paper on the bottom of the tray. So you get a bit of baking paper and you fold it in half that way, and then in half that way, and then into a triangle, and then like that, and then you hold it from, imagine the tips in the middle of your cake out to there, and then you rip the outside, a little bit of a curved, it's not really a curve, but try a curve, and you get a circle. Amazing. And then butter the tray first, and then you push that in, and it goes up the sides a little bit, and you have got baking paper in the bottom of your tray, so when you've cooked your cake, you can tip it out really easily. So for my Victoria sponge, I've got a small cake on the bottom. I looked in my cupboard. I've got Nay's Nibbles strawberry and blueberry jam. I've got no idea where I got it from, but it looks delicious. If your jar's a bit tight, you just grab the jar and tap at this angle on the corner of a bench, and it releases the seal, and you can pop out the jam. I'm going to get a couple of spoonfuls of that. I always do the jam first and wiggle it over the top. Quite a lot of jam. And I'm just going to get the cream out of the fridge. And I've whipped the cream by hand. And because it's been in the fridge a couple of minutes, I'm just going to give it another whip. And you want to whip it until it's really nice and firm. About that thickness. And put some on top. I actually have a confession seeing as my parents are watching. Do you remember when we used to buy the sponge cake from Stidion's and it had the jam and the cream in the middle? Well, I used to get the jam and the cream and I'd eat it all out the middle of the cake and put the lid back on. I don't know if you ever noticed, but there's my confession for the day. For those of you who've just joined, I'm making cake. I'm making 3 different cakes. You can watch back later and see all the different recipes, but at the moment I'm doing a Victoria sponge. So I've got sponge, jam and cream, and then my lid, and to finish it off, a little bit of icing sugar over the top. So are there any questions while I'm dusting this about how to make cakes? Because I might not be able to answer them all, but I will do my best. And also the good thing about icing sugar is if you mess it up a little bit, you can cover your mistakes with a dust of icing sugar. There we go, a little bit more. So this is quite a lot of cake, and I'm going to take the chocolate one to Tranby tomorrow for the staff down there. And the guys I live with are going to help me eat the rest. I've been trying to work out every day for like half an hour, 45 minutes, because I'm cooking so much and eating so much more. I want to make sure that it doesn't end up on my hips. So, what flour do you use for sponge? Just a basic self-raising flour. As for brand, I'm not really fussy about brands of flour. So do a switch. This is my Victoria sponge. And then we've got the apple and cinnamon cake. So that's the basic sponge mix with apples cooked in cinnamon, butter and sugar, baked into the top of the cake. And then on the top is apple, cinnamon, sugar, the same mix with icing sugar and a little bit of water. And I've got this cute little, I don't know if it will fit. No, it would be cool if it did. And then, oh my God. And then this is the chocolate one. I'm going to make it look a bit prettier in a minute. And I think it's still a bit warm, so it's melted. So top tip is cool your cakes down before you put the icing on. What apples am I using? Good question. I should know the name of them, but they're just quite old. They're getting a little bit soft, so I thought I'd use these ones, use them up, because we want to use up all of the leftover bits and pieces in the house. In the basic sponge, I use vanilla extract, and make sure you use extract instead of essence, because you get a much more pure vanilla flavour than essence. Essence is kind of like a horrible vanilla-y water. I think that's it. If you're interested in the wild orange or any other essential oils, they're all edible, or most of them are, then send me a message. I'm going to be using them more in my cooking because they're a great thing to have in the kitchen, especially if we get a little bit short of herbs and bits and pieces as we go forward in the weeks, whatever's going to happen here in Perth. It's good to have extra flavours like fennel and oregano, all sorts of things like that. Anyway, any more questions, pink ladies? Thanks, Jenny. Yeah, do. Did you know that, what's the singer from Fleetwood Mac? Is it Stevie Nicks? Yeah, I think so. She will only eat pink lady apples. There you go. There's your fact for the day. So I will be back over the next couple of days. I'm going to teach you lots of different things to make at home using the ingredients that hopefully you've got in your cupboards. And if you do have any requests, let me know and pop comments through here. And I look forward to seeing you soon. And if you make any cakes, please send me some pictures. I'd love to see what you've been cooking. Bye-bye.